When the Pittsburgh Steelers traded for DK Metcalf back in March, fans expected the Steelers to finally have a true alpha wide receiver that their quarterback could rely on. Pittsburgh immediately gave Metcalf a 4-year, $132 million contract extension, indicating the organization viewed Metcalf as a crucial part of the team's future. 8 games into his Steelers career, he has only 29 catches on 50 targets. Sunday's win against the Indianapolis Colts surprisingly marked the wideout's lowest reception and yardage total as a member of the Steelers, which wideout was questioned about. "Y'all may get frustrated with that shit. We don't," Metcalf said during his media availability on Tuesday. "We just trying to win." The response was exactly what you would expect from someone like Metcalf as a leader of the offense. However, it's clear that the receiver deserves the ball more. Even Steelers legend Ben Roethlisberger took note of the lack of Metcalf in red zone situations. On the latest episode of his podcast, Footballin' with Ben Roethlisberger, the longtime Steelers quarterback was critical of the Steelers' 4th-and-goal attempt early in the first half of their game this past Sunday. "They ran a double slant, and I was screaming on the snap, 'DK,' and he put it on Washington. DK's expecting that ball," Roethlisberger said. "Mount Washington wasn't expecting the ball. You saw it hit him right in the chest. It was a great throw." Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith also appears unconcerned with Metcalf's workload. "Metcalf simply wants to win." "I tend to agree with Roethlisberger in the sense of getting Metcalf the ball more situationally, especially in the red zone." Metcalf has 5 touchdown catches already this season and could very well see an uptick in his production down the stretch. For now, Metcalf isn't concerned as long as the team is winning, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in the history of football throwing to him for at least the rest of the season. Defensive lineman DeMarvin Leal was experiencing his second chance with the Pittsburgh Steelers this fall. But that came to an abrupt end Thursday. The Steelers announced on social media the team waived Leal from the active roster. The Steelers brought back Leal on their first 2025 practice squad after waiving him at the end of the preseason. The team then signed the defensive lineman to the active roster before Week 3. While appearing in 3 games this season, Leal posted 2 combined tackles. He played 17 defensive snaps and 9 snaps on special teams. The Steelers drafted Leal at number 84 overall in the 3rd round of the 2022 NFL Draft. The 25-year 0-LD has appeared in 31 NFL games, all of which have been with the Steelers from 2022 to 25. In his first 2 seasons, Leal started 6 contests. He's registered 35 combined tackles, including 3 tackles for loss and 3 quarterback hits in his career. He has also recorded 4 pass defenses and 1 sack. Steelers announce waiving defensive lineman DeMarvin Leal. As a 3rd-round pick, Leal came into the league with high expectations. But he never lived up to them in Pittsburgh. While he found his way back to the Steelers' active roster this season, Leal was a healthy scratch in 3 of the prior 4 games before his release Thursday. Leal played 13 defensive snaps during Week 3 this season. After that, he lined up for only 4 snaps on defense. Following Week 5 during the 2024 campaign, Leal landed on injured reserve because of a neck injury. The defensive lineman also had a stint on injured reserve as a rookie in 2022. Leal is likely a candidate to return to the Steelers' practice squad, but he will have to clear waivers before the team has an opportunity to re-sign him to the practice squad. On the Steelers' official roster and depth chart, the team had Leal listed as a defensive lineman. Without Leal, the Steelers still have Logan Lee, Yahya Black, and Esezi Odenwo as depth defensive linemen. The team also added another former 3rd-round defensive lineman Broderick Martin on Wednesday. The Steelers signed Martin, who was a 3rd-rounder in 2023, off the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Steelers clear a spot for QB Will Howard. With the Leal release, the Steelers have opened a roster spot on their active roster. There's a decent chance that it could be going to rookie signal caller Will Howard. The first-year quarterback must come off injured reserve next week or he will be out for the remainder of the season. The Steelers opened Howard's practice window on October 22nd. The quarterback has to rejoin the active roster within 3 weeks, or he is done for the rest of 2025. Although Leal was listed as a defensive lineman, he played most of his snaps this season at outside linebacker according to Pro Football Focus. But the Steelers have depth there as well, which made Leal expendable. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig are Pittsburgh's top 3 edge rushers. The Steelers also have rookie outside linebacker Jack Sawyer on their active roster. The Pittsburgh Steelers trade deadline was relatively uneventful, a decision that came as a bit of a surprise. For a Steelers team that's one of the better in the AFC, although perhaps not among the elite, it would have made sense for the Steelers to go out and add a few players. Unfortunately, the front office decided not to do that, but it appears there were several reasons for this decision. According to the latest from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, one of the potential issues was the Miami Dolphins and how they valued some of their players. There were reports that indicated that the Steelers were interested in Dolphins wide receiver Jalen Waddle, who would have been one of the better players traded at the deadline. The Steelers, the Giants, and others either had interest or would have had interest if not for the steep price tag, which, depending on what team you asked, Fowler wrote, fluctuated between a first-round pick or a 1+. Some teams had a tough time getting a read on Miami's intentions at the deadline, Fowler writes, which is understandable 4 days removed from general manager Chris Grier's firing. After moving on from Chris Grier, it seemed possible that the Steelers and other teams around the league would have a chance to trade for Waddle. However, later reports suggested that the Dolphins were looking for a first-round pick and more. In the Dolphins' defense, to move on from a player like Waddle, they have to be blown away with an offer, despite the organization likely going into another rebuild. More news. Steelers snatch former third-round pick from Super Bowl contender on the contrary. The Steelers had some work to do, and there were other players traded, including Jacoby Myers, who they could have landed for a decent price. Just because the Dolphins didn't give the Steelers what they were looking for in terms of an asking price doesn't mean they shouldn't have made a move. Pittsburgh Steelers tight end Connor Heyward did not practice on Thursday with a knee injury. Heyward, who has played as a fullback, tight end, and H-back this year, is the versatile extraordinaire of the team's offense. He is also a special teams ace, and his absence from the game on Sunday would be a blow to that unit, which has continued to sustain issues throughout the last few weeks. Heyward was a full participant on Wednesday before taking the dramatic step back to a non-participant. It is unknown if Heyward was dealing with the injury coming out of the team's win against the Indianapolis Colts or if he suffered the issue in practice on Wednesday. So far this season, Heyward's biggest impact has been felt on special teams. After the team lost special teams captain Miles Killebrew and has dealt with other injury issues, such as the quad injury that Jabril Peppers suffered, it has forced the team to pivot to new players to fill those voids. Running back Trey Sermon has taken up that role now. Meanwhile, Heyward has continued to maintain a presence on all coverage teams and has become one of the better special teams players in the entire NFL as a result of that.